From being run out of Counter-Strike due to cheating allegations, to becoming the first face of North American Valorant, to falling short of expectations and having to retire before the esport was even in its prime.
I'm gonna quit Valorant and all I'm gonna do is play unrated with Pokemon.
Subroza has had a very interesting and dramatic Valorant career, with everyone in the esport having their own different opinion on him as both a player and person. But I want to cut through the memes and debate to prove whether or not Subroza's prime in Valorant was actually good or overhyped by his fans. So I'm going to go through and analyze his entire Valorant career and extract some important stats to give you a true view of the player Subroza was during his prime. But the best way to get to your own prime in Valorant is with U.GG. This is actually revolutionary for players wanting to train like the pros. With access to peak maps that show you the best and worst peaking angles on every map for any situation, as well as having a tier list option that easily allows you to get every stat you would want from every gun, map, and agent for any rank, giving you instant access to information that pro coaches spend serious time gathering for their teams. And U.GG is super easy to install and so lightweight, not hurting your computer's performance one bit. So not just for me, but also for the sake of your rank, click on the link in my description or pinned comment to download U.GG to get better data and smarter insights into your Valorant play. Of course, before we get into the player he would become in Valorant, we need to understand his esports journey before Riot's FPS was announced. Subroza started his esports career like a lot of the early superstars of Valorant, in Counter-Strike, where at the age of 17 in 2015, he started competing in lower tier regional tournaments in North America, quickly getting a reputation as a technically gifted rifler, but lacked the discipline and team play to really catch the attention of the top org. But he continued to get better and better in the lower levels of North America until the end of 2016, where Counter-Logic Gaming decided to take a risk on this young new talent, actually taking Tarek's spot on the team, resulting in Subroza getting exposure to the best in the region and competing in their larger events. But after 6 months on the team without any major improvements, Subroza was released from the team, where it looked like he would slump back to the obscurity in the North American Counter-Strike scene that always looked on the verge of collapse, as the rest of 2016 and 2017 saw him jump around makeshift rosters until February 7th, 2018, where he joined the team that would launch him into becoming the Subroza we know now. He joined Ghost Gaming, a team where he would team up with his future partner in crime, Wardell, as well as play with Steel as his IGL. While their run in 2018 was nowhere near the best in Pro CSGO, they competed and made a few runs in S and A tier tournaments, such as the Atlanta DreamHack, ESL 1, and the Zotok Cup Masters, showing that all these young players coming up in North America aren't just hype, with people toward the end of the season seeing some hope for this roster. But for Subroza, this is about when his biggest allegations dropped. That would be one of the main reasons why he switched from the game. He was accused of cheating, not just online, but also on LAN, as there were countless clips that pros would watch back and raise alarm bells about, with him seeming to snap onto enemies with inhuman precision. Plenty of players in Counter-Strike before and after Subroza have had cheating allegations thrown at them, but for Subroza, they stuck due to how blatant the community believed he was doing it. So after a string of bad tournaments and group stage knockouts toward the end of the season, Ghost Gaming decided to move Subroza to inactive, being a nail in the coffin of Subroza's top tier career in CSGO. After just a few months ago, looking like everything was just about to take off for him, and with the decline of his career through 2019 up to COVID, the esport around him in NA was also declining, with orgs pulling out one by one, with players like Subroza, who hadn't found the success they hoped in CSGO, looking for another way to revive their career, and for him, escape from his past reputation. And in mid-2020, at the height of the pandemic, his prayer was answered. Valorant was released in beta, and Subroza, along with his old teammates in Counter-Strike, started to grind the game as they hoped to set their claim in the pro scene once he kicked off. And right away, it seemed that Subroza's skills not only transferred instantly to the new FPS, but were almost enhanced, as the fast-paced and explosive gameplay fit his flashier playstyle that was punished so often in his previous game. While team play mattered still in Valorant, there were so many options to create your own duels and single-handedly carry your team with insane fragging ability. And this is exactly what Subroza did, quickly connecting with the duelist role, as he mainly played Phoenix and Raze, who were some of the most OP agents early in the game's history. And after the beta, Subroza knew that Valorant was the path forward for him to recapture the spotlight, so he joined Mouse Spaz with former CSGO teammates Wardell, Hazed, and Drone, where in their very first game, they won 13-1, and this was against a bunch of NA legends like Hiko, Shroud, and Nothing. And in their second event as a team, they dominated their opponents to win the grand finals, catching the attention of one of the most prestigious orgs at the time, TSM, who were looking to join the budding esport. This is where Subroza, along with Wardell, would take the early NA scene by storm. During the Invitational era, before any Riot organized events, TSM rose quickly up the ranks, and this is where I consider the start of his prime, as this was also where a few of his most iconic iconic moments
right
happen.
now. 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Oh my God.
Looking for the ace right now, and it's about to be peeked out here. Silver arrow to come out, and he's gonna win this fight, and he does.
With his play in the CLG Cup against Immortals, which at the time had Asuna and Gangsta from the Ye drama. This ace gave the spot on Ascent the call out Rosa, which if you're a real one, you still kind of call it that. But that wasn't the only thing in the game that was named after. While the invitational events went on, he became known for his great Raze play. But one aspect of the agent that eluded him were all his wasted Raze ults, with fans and players alike calling any failed showstopper a Rosa ult. And while it's clear during the early days of Pro Valorant that he was an influential figure, were his stats and team accolades even good during his prime? While a lot of the games are lost to history, from everything I could find, here are all the important stats during that run that saw them win 7 grand finals, with him on every duelist agent and brimstone, picking up one of the highest ACSs at 229.7, with about 3 first kills per map with a 1.09 KD ratio, showing that he's already a great player on the team, but he ended up kind of being overshadowed by Wardell, who absolutely dominated with the op on Jet to take the spotlight. But in the first important event in Valorant, this is where he statistically peaked. So going into the first strike event, which would see the first champions in North America be crowned, Subroza and TSM were one of, if not the favorite to take home the trophy, being ranked second behind Sentinels, who they were battling back and forth with up to this point. And throughout the open and closed qualifiers, they ran through their opponents, going 12-3, winning the closed qualifier grand finals against FaZe, with Subroza playing well on Reyna and Raze. But Wardell had slowly become the real superstar for the team, something that also occurred back at Ghost Gaming. Luckily, this meta allowed for many duelists to dominate on their own, allowing TSM to fit perfectly within it, with Drone, Wardell, and Subroza able to focus on their own duels rather than team play. And this continued to work against Renegade in the quarterfinals of the first strike event. With it not even being close, they were able to continue their roll to the grand finals after beating a pre-Ye Envy team in 2 maps, as Subroza on Raze finally solidified himself as the face of the North American Raze players, explosive, dynamic, and loudmouth, as he picked up 23 kills to only 13 deaths, and 5 first kills to win split 13-5, and everything looked to be set for a legendary clash between 100 Thieves and TSM. We would go down to the wire, but the combination of young talent in Asuna and Dicey and the veteran leadership of Nitro, Hiko, and Steel allowed them to run away with it after they won the first 2 maps in nail-biting fashion, with a few rounds being the difference maker for Subroza. It also didn't help that this was one of his worst matches in the entire tournament run, as he went 11-19 in first kills to deaths, the worst on the server as an entry player on Reyna and Raze. So with that second place finish, Subroza finished his 2020 so close to his goal of being #1, and 2021 looked to be the year he and Wardell would possibly reach it. But unfortunately for him, this is the closest he and his team would be to the top spot. As for Subroza, this run in first strike would mark the end of his prime in Valorant. And while it was short, there were so many memorable moments that still shape Valorant today, with his run in first strike seeing as one of the best statistical players with a 235.3 ACS, one of the highest in the entire event, as well as a 1.14 KD and an 18% clutch rate, which put him at an elite level. But like I said, this is Subroza's peak, as 2021 wasn't better for him or TSM, as after having so much success in 2020, they were unable to adapt to the meta shifts and constant rising of the skill level, as they were unable to qualify for the regional masters and international masters, not even being close. They were able to play a little better during their chance to make Masters Berlin, but were unable to make a run in the main event to fall out of challengers quickly against MV and Rise, 2 match wins away from Masters Berlin. And with that, Subroza and TSM's season was over before it even started, leaving them to truly contemplate what the next step forward for this once successful team would be. And this would be where the early legendary duo of Subroza and Wardell would end, as Wardell left the team after a terrible stage 1 challengers in 2022, where they didn't even make it out of the open qualifiers. And this would start the revolving door of players TSM tried to build around Subroza, but nothing seemed to work for him throughout the rest of 2022, as he tried to switch roles and adapt, but it was no use, as he continued to struggle in stage 2 as they finished in last during the group stages, going 1-4, and not even having the chance to fight in the main event to qualify for Masters Copenhagen. They played in one more invitational, but they ended their 2022 season with another whimper, seeing Subroza and TSM at the lowest they've ever been in Valorant, at 15th in the region. And during this 2-year run, his stats weren't the best compared to his prime, as it was clear he was struggling, where his ACS fluctuated greatly from event to event, with some challengers seeing him return to his peak for a second, but overall in those 2 years, he finished with a 221 ACS and a barely positive KD, which was all played mostly in the open qualifiers against lesser opponents. But as the meta changed around the years, it seemed like he was left behind, as he tried to switch roles to more controllers as his first kill to death ratio took a hit, with him at times looking like the weak link holding the team back towards the end of 2022. So finally, the change that TSM had been avoiding for a while now finally happened, as Subroza was made inactive on October 3rd, 2022. It would not play another real competitive match again with TSM or any org since, as he hasn't shown any indication he wants to return, as he has always been an engaging, extreme personality, building up his own brand moving past the previous stages of his career that were so unpredictable in both Counter-Strike and Valorant. Make sure you check out my video on how good or bad Prime Sinatra was during Sentinel's first few runs in Pro Valorant. If you made it this far in the video, then I know you'll definitely like it. Also, make sure you're subscribed with notifications on so you don't miss out on a single video like this one throughout the rest of the Pro Valorant season.